What policies do you have in place if a wrong vehicle is picked up?
Oh, but this never happened to me. They're trying to. I mean, this is the first time in 30 years.
Did you find out later that the vehicle that was picked up, this 2003 Ford White 350, did not belong to a Mr. Mario Camarena?
The day after or 2 days after, when the police department called us about reminding to be told the date.
And did you find out later on that it actually belonged to Mr. Ishmael Rincon?
Gonna have to stop the recording. Duty, back up.
I am proud to say that this episode of Cornish News is sponsored by GladiusShield.com. We are or will be facing some legal challenges in our life. The most terrifying personal issue we face is the helplessness of not knowing what to do. At GladiusShield.com, discover legal knowledge in a simple, fun, and easy way. Stop living in fear and stand up for yourself with confidence. Click the link in the description below and register for the free newsletter. Legal knowledge is like a craftsman's tool. It is better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Again, thanks to GladiusShield.com for sponsoring this video.
Okay, and where's that towing company located?
89
Okay, and how many employees do you have with you?
Right now we have 4.
All right, and let me bring you back to the date of August 3rd of 2020, sir. All right, on that date, was your towing company still in operation?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, if you would give me the authority to share screen.
Don't. Were you able to?
Okay, let me just pull up the exhibit. Mr. Gonzalez, I'm going to share a screen with you. Do you recognize this document, sir?
Yeah.
And is this a document generated out of your business?
The driver has the receipts with.
Okay, so this is a document that one of your drivers would have, right?
Right.
And each of these documents have an internal number that you guys keep track of. Is that right?
Yeah, there's an invoice number, yes.
And the internal number that you see there, sir, is 43873.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's no one else that has these types of documents except for you and your business. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you keep a document like this, Mr. Gonzalez?
Well, it's a receipt for the customer whenever they have when they want a receipt, we give it to them, to the customer.
Okay. And is there also an operator that signs off on the document?
Yeah.
Okay. So who's the operator that signed off?
Robert.
Okay. And what's Robert's last name?
I can't recall his last name right now. Sorry.
Pardon me?
I don't really recall his last name right now. Can I check my call the office? I'll find out his last name.
He's asking if he can call the office, Mr. Shaw.
Yes, that's fine, Judge. Go ahead, and he's one of your employees, right?
He was, but he hasn't been working there for almost 6 months. Already quit.
All right, go ahead. Let's get his full information.
Henry, what was Robert's last name? Robert? Martinez. Yeah, it's Martinez. Check in the file. Yeah. Martinez. Yeah, Martinez. Okay, thanks. Martinez.
Martinez.
Thank you, sir. So it's Robert Martinez, right?
Yes.
And can you confirm with me that on August 3rd of 2020, that Robert Martinez was an employee of yours?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the date of his employment?
When he started?
When he started and when he terminated?
I don't have that. I don't have that on. And he didn't ask me to bring it.
A month or a year?
Oh, when was he started? Maybe. Well, he quit about six months ago. So we'll go back. Let's say May. He quit about May.
I think he started
And
working
he started
for
about
2018, 2019.
Yeah, about a year.
Okay.
For a year.
Almost a year.
So he had worked for you for how long? A year? 2 years?
About a year. Year and a half.
Okay. Alrighty. So now, Mr. Gonzalez, what is the point? Now, your towing company, is it contracted by any entity or is it just a private towing company?
It's a private towing company.
And how do you get your work order?
Well, this one was it just depends on the customer calls. But most of the time the customer calls us. Unless we go with the insurance, now we have apps and so on and so forth. So it just depends on what the situation.
Okay. So you're seeing this document 43873. That's correct, right?
Right.
Okay. So on this one, is there a customer that requested this?
Well, there's Mario Camarena. Camarena.
Okay. So Mr. Mario Camarena requested you to pick up a vehicle. Is that correct? Okay. And then so there's a date, right? There's a date. Is it necessary to fill out all of the stuff on this form?
Is it necessary? No. I mean, it's in the circumstances of what you want. I mean, we just put a customer. Let's say you call me and you're asking me to do a service, well, so I'm putting your name in there, and so you can have a proof that you got paid.
Okay. So you're saying that it's not necessary to fill out all this information then?
Well, I mean, it's necessary. You want? Yeah, we can put it in. Yes, sir. We can put it. I'm not saying that we don't. I mean, it's just a customer. it's a personal customer, so it's somebody who requested us a tow. So it's an agreement between two parties to do a service.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not a non-consent tow.
How do you confirm that the service that someone's requested is a service on their vehicle?
Well, the person gives us where to pick it up, gives us the make and model of the truck, we gotta pick it up. So we're in the assumption that that's the vehicle is theirs.
Okay, so who makes that assumption? You make you and your employees make that assumption, or
if you call me today and tell me, can you move my whatever car it is to point A to point B, and I'll tell you we get an agreement of let's say so on and so forth how much it is, then I go and pick up the vehicle and take it up at point A and then take it to your shop or pick it somewhere else.
okay. Now, what policies do you have in place if a wrong vehicle is picked up?
But this never happened to me. They're trying to. I mean, this is the first time in 30 years. Actually, I'm 48 years old. So first time in 30 years I've been picked up wrong.
Okay. And did you find out later that the vehicle that was picked up, this 2003 Ford 350, white 350, did not belong to a Mr. Mario Camarena?
The day after or 2 days after when the police department called us about regarding to be told to be.
Okay. And did you find out later on that it actually belonged to Mr. Ishmael Rincon?
Yes.
Okay. So now you found out that you moved a vehicle that did not belong to this person and it belonged to Mr. Rincon. What did you do about it?
Well, the investigation was under the police department, so they're doing the investigation. I mean, I can't do anything about it because there's a police department already doing the investigation.
Well, the investigation is one thing, but so that means that your company didn't do anything to locate the vehicle?
We went to the location where it was dropped out. We didn't see it, but that's the only thing we can do. I mean, the police department is doing their investigation.
Okay, but you didn't keep track of this person's telephone number, ID, no proof that he'd actually owned this vehicle?
No.
And then you did discover that this vehicle belonged to Mr. Ishmael Rincon, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, alrighty. And why did Mr. Robert Martinez quit? Did he quit or did you fire him?
Wait, he went to Cabello.
Okay, all right. So he's currently there at Cabello Wrecking right now.
Yes.
Yes, sir?
No one said anything.
Okay. Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Okay, so Mr. Martinez is currently working at Cabello Wrecking, is that right?
That I know of, yes.
Okay. And are you telling us that every single one of your invoices or your forms are just going to be just the name and the location and the signature of the
Well, some will have done more details on it. If it's not potential, it'll have more details on it.
Okay, so what would entail your employees filling out the form properly?
Well, and most of the time when those vehicles they come to our yard and then we release it to the owner.
Okay, so let's not talk about the ones that come to your yard. Let's talk about the ones that people contract you to pick up a vehicle and to move to a different location.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
Okay. Well,
So in those circumstances, you as the owner of the business,
we have the right information that we have. So it's we put everything else that's in there. It's a breakdown or it's told to, but it does have what it was told to. So I mean, basically, it has most of the information that it needs. It doesn't have the time there. I don't think it has the time in that invoice, but it doesn't have the time. But we don't put the time in there.
Pass the witness.
Mr. Castillo?
Yes, Judge. Report.
Yes.
With Mr. Gonzalez, with respect to the invoice, let's try to go in chronological order. And I've got a copy here. With respect to the invoice, Mr. Chu was asking about certain everything had to be filled out. So I want to ask you a few questions about it. So number one, does the state, you're licensed by the state of Texas, does the state of Texas require you to fill out every box on here?
Not all the boxes. If it's a consent token, no, we don't fill it out. If it's a non-consent, just obtain when it was picked up, but this is just a regular toll between two parties related agreement.
Okay. Now, as far as you understand, you stated Robert was your driver.
Yes.
Okay. And as far as you understand, as the owner of BF Gonzalez, Robert had no reason to believe that Mario Camarena was not.
Yeah, no.
Objection calls for speculation, Your Honor.
There's nothing in this invoice that suggests otherwise. No. Now, there's Mario. We have Mario Camarena's name up here.
Yes.
He being Robert, provided that number, that name, right? And there's also an address, 1108 Espejo Molina. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what we told him.
Okay, all right. So now, you mentioned in testimony that the Laredo Police Department conducted an investigation.
Yes, sir.
Now, do you have the resources to conduct your own investigation?
No.
And you're not in that line of business. But can you tell the judge, did you cooperate with the Laredo Police Department?
Yes, we did. We provided the invoice, we provided the time with the location where we dropped it off, all the information that we had at that moment. But investigating, we don't have an investigator, a private investigator.
As a result of cooperating with that investigation, did the Laredo Police Department arrest you for theft?
No, they didn't.
Did the Laredo Police Department, if you know, arrest Robert for theft?
No.
Now, this is solely if you know. Do you know if the Laredo Police Department did an investigation on 1108 Espejo Molina? If you know.
I don't know.
Okay, all right. And with respect to your other testimony, you've been in business for 30 years?
30 years.
So did your company, BF Gonzalez, intentionally deprive Mr. Rincon of his vehicle?
No.
I pass the witness.
Mr. Shu?
Follow up, Your Honor. Let's look at that 43873 invoice again that you have. You have it before you, right, Mr. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Now, it would be prudent if you look at the middle part of that invoice, reason for tow.
Okay.
Do you see that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Now, any operator would check that checkbox, right? It has accident, stolen, abandoned, or other. Is that correct?
Okay.
Do you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Is there anything checked up in there?
No, there ain't.
Okay. Let's go to the next one. It says service. Do you see that?
Yes.
Is any of that stuff checked out?
No.
Okay. And then let's look at the third box, which is pretty important, right? Towed per order of. Do you see that?
Yeah.
Is any of those boxes checked off?
No.
Now, you're telling the court that you didn't do it intentionally and your employees didn't do it intentionally, but would it be negligent for them to not ask these questions and to not check these boxes?
Because it's an agreement between two parties. There's not going to be. I'm not doing it for someone else. It's an agreement between two parties to tow a vehicle.
So you're telling me that anybody can come to your business
without you being there.
But pretty much by your testimony, anybody coming to your business and say, tow this vehicle to here, and you just do it. Is that what you're telling the court today?
Can you repeat?
Mr. Gonzalez, are you telling the court that anybody would just call your business, give them a vehicle to tow, and you would tow it without question?
No, when we question, we get information of where the location is at and where it's take it to, so we told it.
Okay, but you're telling the court that
the location.
but you're telling the court that you're satisfied with this information on this piece of paper?
Well, I mean, there is two boxes that are not filled, but at the same token, when my car dropped off the vehicle at the location, the Mr. Mario was there at the location with he was there with he was actually there when he received the truck. So it's like you showed up at your place where you're gonna receive it. So we had no intention. We saw someone there make an effort to go pick up their truck. So it wasn't like we just threw it somewhere and no one was there. And we gave him an invoice because he asked for an invoice. So we gave the invoice to him, thinking that he was the owner. Someone was not going to think he's not the owner, he's not going to ask for an invoice or, would not even show up at that location.
But you don't do anything to protect any innocent party like Mr. Rincon that his vehicle has been stolen.
Like I said, this is the first time that this ever occurred.
Do you acknowledge that your company removed Mr. Rincon's property improperly without his permission?
No, because we didn't know it wasn't his.
Mr. Gonzalez, did Mr. Camarena show up at Barrios and Meadow, or he just called?
No, he showed up. Wait, he showed up where my car was at, and he told where the car was at, where the truck was at.
Where was that at? Your driver?
At the family store.
He showed up. He knew him, or how did he show
No,
up?
because he was dropping off a car and he asked for service, and his truck was over there.
And he just told him, go to Meadow
My truck
and
is there.
Barrios and pick up the...
The truck is there. It should be going to neutral. It goes into neutral, and I'll meet you at the address.
But he never went to Meadow and
Then
Barrios.
no.
That's a witness, Your Honor.
Mr. Castillo?
But Camarena or what's the did go to the inspector.
He showed up, and that's why we presented him with the invoice. He wanted an invoice, and we presented him with the invoice as well.
No further questions.
Mr. Shaw?
That's a witness, Your Honor. I'm done with Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you for your testimony, sir.
So is Mr. Castillo. Anything else, Mr. Shaw?
No, I'm finished questioning Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you, Judge.
Mr. Castillo?
I don't have anything for you.
All right. So that's it on your cases?
No, I called Mr. Ishmael Rincon, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Mr. Rincon? Let me, there you go. Mr. Rincon?
Yes,
Are you
I'm
here?
yeah, I'm here.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Would you please state your full name for the record?
Yes, sir. Ismael Rincon.
And, sir, you've already been sworn in by the court,
Yes, sir.
right? Now, who is the owner of the 2003 F-350, Mr. Rincon?
I was, sir. It was under my one of my company's name.
Okay. And what company is that?
That's Corners Group, Inc.
Okay. And Corners Group, Inc., what is that?
It's a transportation company.
Okay. And let's go back to this date of August 3rd of 2020. Can you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And where was this vehicle located?
This was located in one of our properties on Bollinger, next to another property we have there on Meadow.
Okay. And what is the address of your property?
1801 Bollinger.
Okay. And how was this vehicle stored?
It was parked.
And where was it parked, Mr. Lincoln?
It was just parked in the inside the property.
Okay, so now describe that for the court. Inside the property, is there a gate? Is it in the driveway, or where was it?
It's an open field. There's no fence. There's no driveway or no nothing. Just inside an open property.
Okay, and do you recall? Do you know a person by the name of Mario Cararena?
No, sir.
Camorena.
No, sir, I don't.
Do you know anybody by that name?
I don't. No.
Any customers or employees of yours?
No, sir.
Okay. Did you have this vehicle for sale?
I didn't know.
Okay. And when did you discover that this vehicle was missing?
I discovered later that night. When I was driving through, I didn't see the truck.
Okay.
That's how I discovered.
And then when you discovered that your truck was, when was the last time that you used the truck?
That I used it?
Yes.
I don't recall. I don't recall the exact date.
Was it something that you regularly use in your business or occasionally use?
It was occasional.
Okay. And what was the purpose of using this? Was it working and functional?
Yes, it was missing batteries, and it got vandalized in the property. The windshield got broken and stuff.
Okay, but at the time that you had it there, was it operational, Mr. Vinco?
It was operational. I just didn't move it for a while.
Okay, well, let me ask a question further. Was it roadworthy? Did you have tags in it, and did you use it for your business?
No, not at that time. No, sir.
And when had you stopped using it for your business?
I would guess 5 years, maybe 5 years back. It's a guess. I'm not really sure.
Okay, all right. And did you have this vehicle for sale?
No, I didn't.
Okay. And how much did you purchase the vehicle for?
I purchased the vehicle for $5,000 approximately.
Okay. Now, what had happened when you discovered that this vehicle was missing, Mr. Venco?
Well, I first did some asking around. There's usually border patrol officers around, so I started asking, and one of them told me, "Oh yeah, a tow truck came and picked it up and took it," but they didn't think much about it. They just told me that, so I started checking my cameras on the property next door, and I saw the tow truck entering that property. So after that, I called the Laredo Police Department to make a report.
Okay. And then did you discover who had towed your vehicle?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then when you discovered that it was G. Gonzalez Towing that towed your vehicle, did you make contact with them?
I did, sir.
And what did you discover from that?
When I called the day after, I got that receipt. They gave me that receipt, and they in fact told me they had towed it. They had towed the truck to that address. I think that was it. That was everything they gave me.
And did you find out who had requested the tow?
Well, just what it says on the receipt. I don't know who that person is.
And did you inform them that you were the owner and that you had not requested the tow?
I did, yes, sir.
And what was the response?
I think they were shocked. I don't think they gave me like a straight response. They were just in shock.
Okay. Did you ever discover that the operator that towed your vehicle was a Robert Martinez?
No, I'm just knowing this right now. I'm just realizing who it was right now.
Okay. And did you also discover through the police investigation that there was never a Mario
Camarena.
Camarena?
Objection, hearsay. It's testifying as to what the officer would testify.
Can you ask him another way, Mr. Shield?
Did you ever discover if there was who the person on the if the person on that invoice 43873 was found?
Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
And were you able to, with the help of Laredo Police Department, ever find out where your vehicle was?
Not with Laredo Police Department because where they took the truck, it's out of their jurisdiction. It's another city.
What city would that be?
Rio Bravo, Texas.
And how did you discover that the... Oh, is that where 1103 Espejo Molina is?
Right, yes.
So that is in Rio Bravo?
That is in Rio Bravo, yes.
Okay. And did you follow up with... who has jurisdiction there? Would that be Rio Bravo Police or would that be Webb County Sheriffs?
Webb County Sheriffs.
Did you ever have a chance to go to Webb County Sheriffs and follow up with their auto theft?
No, I never filed the report with Webb County, no, sir.
Okay, all right, no problem. And how much did you say that you had purchased the vehicle for?
For $5,000, sir.
Okay. And is that what you're requesting from the court today, sir?
Yes, sir.
That and also your attorney's fees and how much did you pay in attorney's fees, Mr. Lincoln?
I paid $2,000, sir.
Okay, and court costs, sir? How much did you pay for court costs?
I don't recall really.
Okay, all right. But you're asking for court costs also, right?
Correct.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Judge. That's all we have. Pass the witness.
Mr. Castillo?
Good morning, Mr. Ringborn. With respect to the Webb County Sheriff's Department, you stated under oath that you know Webb County Sheriff's Department has jurisdiction over Rio Bravo. I understand you correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
And despite knowing this, you did not make a report with the Webb County Sheriff's Office?
Correct, because the incident happened in Laredo, Texas.
But you know very well, according to the invoice, that your attorney introduced into evidence that it was dropped off, as you mentioned earlier, to Espejo Molina. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
And you know very well that Espejo Molina is in Rio Bravo because you testified to that under oath. Is that also correct?
Correct, yes.
And knowing all that, you didn't make the report with Sheriff's Office. Is that correct?
I didn't make a report, no. Not with Webb County, no.
Now, you stated that you purchased this vehicle for $5,000. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you stated under oath that approximately it had been about 5 years since you had operated that vehicle. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you would agree with me that you stated that this vehicle was missing batteries, vandalized. Was there anything else regarding the condition of the truck that you could state under oath that the court should know?
Not really, but the windshield and the batteries.
All right. Now, with respect to Mario Camarena, you stated that you do not know who Mario Camarena is.
I do not know, no.
And with respect to Espejo Molina, the investigation showed that the house is owned by an individual with the last name of Pedraza. Do you know any individual with the last name of Pedraza?
No.
Are you aware if the Laredo Police Department followed up with Pedraza?
I'm not aware, no.
You're also asking for attorney's fees, is that correct? You stated under oath?
That is correct, yes.
And when you filed this petition, you did it on your own without the help of your attorney, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you by chance have your own petition in front of you?
No, I don't have.
And okay, well, a little later we can discuss that with the judge. But do you recall in your petition asking the court for attorney's fees?
I think I didn't because I didn't have an attorney at that time.
I appreciate your honesty, Mr. Rincon. I'll pass the way.
Now, Mr. Rincon, when you had actually, this is the second time that you've been before this court. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
When you'd filed a petition, you'd actually received a judgment because Mr. Gonzalez didn't show up. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
And on the first round, you had received $8,000. You had asked for $8,000 for the cost of the vehicle and loss of profits, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then thereafter, this case was, they requested a new trial, so that's why you had to hire an attorney. Is that right?
Correct, yes.
And that's why you're asking the court to award you attorney's fees if you prevail today. Is that right?
Correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Castillo?
Mr. Rincon, did your attorney file anything asking for attorney's fees, if you know?
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Thank you.
That's it.
No further questions, Your Honor. Plaintiff's arrest.
Mr. Castillo?
And just
Counsel, does anybody know what happened with the case with PD?
still pending, as I understand.
Judge, what had happened with PD when we conferred with PD is that they had to go by the invoice, and the invoice had no identifying information on this Mario Cara. Why am I having such a difficult time with your name? There was no phone, no ID, no nothing.
So PD could never identify this person who it is.
PD can never identify this person, and they didn't follow up with anybody, and that case is closed, Judge, because they have no information. But I believe since now we have more information concerning the operator, Robert Martinez, and I'll follow up with my client. We'll continue with Webb County Sheriffs, and we'll see if our Sheriff's Department will do a better job, Judge. So we'll continue to look for this vehicle because my client had no intention of selling it.
The vehicle hasn't been found anywhere.
No.
Nobody's renewed like the plates or anything like that. Wow. It's just like Mr. Rincon is a victim. I think Mr. Gonzalez is also a victim of something illegal going on. But
Well, before the court rules, I would like an opportunity to close. I don't know if Nathan wants to go first. I don't know if he has anything.
do you have anything, Mr. Shu? On
We
closing?
have nothing further, Your Honor. If the court would just allow us opportunity to close, but that's about it. We're just ready to argue the closing to the court.
All right. Go ahead and close, Mr. Shu.
Yes, Your Honor. What you say is correct. That my client is the victim. Mr. Rincon had his vehicle parked at his address in his location inside. So it wasn't something that was parked outside. So that means that Gonzalez Towing, which was contracted to do this, they had certain responsibilities, Judge. And by saying that it's just a contract between the parties and it's enough to go to a location, pick up a vehicle, and drop it off, that just leaves a lot of room for error. Being such, where we're in this situation, whether or not this is the first time in 30 years, the fact is my client was harmed. His vehicle was not offered for sale, even though, he says he bought it for $5,000. He didn't put it for sale. He didn't put it for sale for $5,000. To him, it's worth a lot more. And he's still trying to find it. He's requesting, and you heard Mr. Gonzalez testified, yes, this is his company. This was his employee, Mr. Robert Martinez. And it was through the efforts of his company, through his employee, through his equipment, that Mr. Rincon's vehicle was moved. So Mr. Gonzalez may be a victim of the fact that he improperly trained his employee to not protect bona fide owners of their vehicle being deprived. But the fact is that it was through his vehicle and his services that Mr. Rincon was deprived of his vehicle. And as such, Judge, we asked the court to award damages in the amount of $5,000 to Mr. Rincon. Asked the court to award the court costs. I believe is it 111, Judge? Citation and service?
146.
146.
126. 126.
And also reimburse Mr. Rincon's attorney's fees, because like we said, this is not the first time. This was actually the second time he attempted to do on his own. He was successful, and then there was a new trial, and then he had to come back and prepare for this case, answer discovery, go through a trial again to request this. So like the court says, and Mr. Castillo says, it's not intentional, Judge, but this is something that is called negligence, which means that Mr. Gonzalez and through his business was negligent. They were not mindful of Mr. Rincon. They didn't act as a prudent person would be. A reasonable person would be, let me check if this belongs to this person that called. Let me check these boxes. I'm sure these forms are very good. They've been used for 30 years. There's a reason for them. And we're finding out today that none of this information was checked off, and that's the reason why we're today. And that frustrated law enforcement because they can't continue doing anything because no one knows who this Mario Camarena is, Judge. Thank you.
Mr. Castillo?
Yes, Your Honor. Good morning again, Mr. Court. And, as the court knows, when Mr. Rincon filed this lawsuit, if the court looks at his petition, he asked for $6,000. Asked for $6,000 in today he testified that he purchased it for $5,000. So I mention that, I start off with that because although, yes, he's a victim, and I agree with the court that, my client got caught up in what, but I think it's disingenuous to try to make a profit and come to this court when my client wasn't here and given notice and come to the court and try to make a profit even though he made a purchase. So that would be number one. He purchased this vehicle for $5,000 and told the court last time that it was a $6,000 value. So I'd like to start with that because it goes to his credibility. In addition to that, Judge, the Laredo Police Department valued it at $4,000. Why? Because Mr. Rincon testified that the vehicle hadn't been used in about 5 years. Batteries, vandalized, and I think the court can use its own experience in that vehicles depreciate in value. They don't go up. So if he bought it at $5,000, I agree with the Laredo Police Department that on a good day, that vehicle was worth $4,000. So I'd like to start off with the value first. Okay? The next thing is the court will see that on behalf of my client, I filed and Mr. Chu agreed to designate a responsible third party. So what does that mean? That means that we're telling the court, hey, there's more people that should be involved in this lawsuit, okay? And it was agreed to by Mr. Chu at the hearing, so it's a part of Your Honor's case. So why is that important? I'm gonna make the numbers easy, just to get the point across. If the value is at $3,000 and the judge is wanting to do a value at $3,000, but there's Mario Camarena, there's Pedraza, if the court looks at the webcam, the 1108 Espejo Molina, Pedraza, and then there's Diego Gonzalez. So all that means is that if it's a $3,000 judgment, my client should be responsible for $1,000. And they could go after all 1108, all took was just going to it. That's all Mr. Chu had to do on behalf of his client. So I mention that only because it's important that if there's a $3,000 judgment, then my client is responsible for the money. And that was an agreed order, and it was before Your Honor on May 10th.
I remember that.
Okay. The final thing that I wanted, not the final, but the third area of bullet points that I had was, I want to use an example to get to my point. If a ticket comes in with EPS and they tell Your Honor, Judge, this individual is speeding on Highway 83. That's what the ticket says. And Your Honor's bound, and even Mr. Chu in municipal is bound by what the ticket says. I can only hear what the ticket says, speeding. And Your Honor, the state prosecutor, Ronnie Gadsar or whoever, or municipal court, Javi Charles, can come in and say, hey, by the way, he didn't wear a seatbelt. He didn't get a ticket for it. I'm using that example because that's what's happening here. If the court looks at the original lawsuit, Judge, the original lawsuit is theft, that he stole my vehicle. And if you'll notice, that's why I asked my client specifically, did you intend to deprive this vehicle? My client said no. They've had this case, they could have amended their pleadings. In fact, he's being represented by an attorney. They could have represented, because Mr. Chu was focusing on negligence. But again, nowhere in the pleadings does it say negligence. So I use that because under the pleadings, the way Your Honor has them, I understand that Mr. Rincon is a victim. I understand that he's, I get it. But Your Honor's bound by the lawsuit that's in front of him. And Mr. Rincon filed a theft against my client. And if the court reads the Civil Practice and Remedies Code, it's going to throw Your Honor to 3103 of the Texas Criminal Code, which is there's intent. And here there is no intent. Diaz Gonzalez was doing their job. Now, if we're negligent, then Mr. Chu should have amended the pleadings and asked for negligence. He should have amended the pleadings and asked for attorney's fees. But they didn't. So while I started off with the numbers about the example of 3,000 and my client gives 1,000, at the end of the day, the more important thing, Your Honor, is the lawsuit that Your Honor is actually here for. And in Mr. Rincon's own handwriting, he states that Diaz Gonzalez, quote unquote, stole my truck.
Where does it say that?
It's on page.
Because the one that I have here in front of me, it says on Monday, August the 3rd, Diaz Gonzalez towing illegally entered my property by request of unknown person and stole my 2003.
That's what I'm going to. Okay. So the court, like those tickets, is bound by that ticket. The court can't now hear, a seatbelt or what have you. And I tried my best to work with these folks because I knew this would fail. And it's on them. It's their case. It's their lawsuit. So at this point, even Mr. Chu was asking about negligence to my client. And even Mr. Chu on closing arguments was saying negligence. But that's not what here. Your Honor, what has here is stealing. And that, under the Civil Code, the Civil Practice Remedies Code, is going to refer, Your Honor, the Texas Theft Liability Act, which is under the Civil Practice Remedies Code, refers, Your Honor, to 31.03 of the Criminal Code. And what does that say? That there has to be an intent to deprive. Neither Mr. Gonzalez or Diaz Gonzalez or Laura is intended to deprive. They did their job. Now, if they were negligent, then they should have sued them. They should have sued. They should have amended. So now Your Honor is in that position where, hey, this is the lawsuit that you brought me, guys. And unfortunately, you did not prove that he intended to deprive you. He moved it, certainly. But you did not, even Mr. Chu in closing was saying, yeah, you know what, the policies, which he didn't bring any. He didn't bring any state of Texas policies. He didn't bring anything. But he's just arguing that, hey, you broke policy. We don't know what policy, but you broke policy, and therefore you're negligent. Well, you should have sued him with negligence claim because you didn't. You sued him with theft. So for that reason, I'm suggesting to the court that the court has no case to or no evidence to find him liable for theft. Have no, you can't. This is the trial date, and it's a difficult position, but they had plenty of time. And we tried to work with them, and they didn't. And I respect that. That's fine. We're controlled by our clients. I get it. And Mr. Chu is very easy to work with, but sometimes we're controlled by our clients. I get it. But here, your honors has no choice but to be bound by, for example, that ticket that DPS bought. And here, this is the lawsuit that he in his own writing bought that they stole. So here, it should be no liability. If the court, I'm confident the court will follow the law. Worst case scenario, if the court finds something else, then it's got to be divided by 3. Why? Because there's D.F. Gonzalez, there's Mario Camarena, and then there's the Pedraza, which is the owner of 1108.
Which both of you counsels agreed to that.
Pardon me?
That's something both counsels agreed to, that there was going to be a third party, right?
Right. Yes. Yes. And it was just for the court's notes. It was 5-10-21. 5-10-21. So whatever number, if it's 3,000, then my client should walk out of here having to owe 1,000. Assuming the court is going to liberally construe this, but based on the lawsuit that they brought there's no theft. And it would be wrong for a judgment to be in his name, in his company's name, because that's going to prejudice him in doing business, because at the end of the day, the lawsuit is under theft. And now he's going to have a claim possibly against them, or appeals or something, because at the end of the day, it wasn't theft. It was negligence, and it was a judgment on negligence, but we don't have a lawsuit. So that's the difficulty here. We tried to work with him. My client was cooperative with L'Oreal Police Department. It sounds like he was cooperative with Mr. Pinquan, gave him a copy of receipt and what have you. It's unfortunate all right around. I hope Mr. Pinquan gets it, but at the end of the day, Your Honor, is bound by this. And there was no request for attorney's fees. Had I done that, I would have requested, like I do in all my cases, invoices, hourlies, all that. It was not requested. And it's not in the petition. It's not in the pleadings, Your Honor. So for those reasons, my first request is that the court we did not prove a theft against the evidence. If the court does not want to do that, then the court gets a value of $2,000 or whatever the court, from the $5,000 that he bought it at, and it was sitting for 5 years, and it had vandalized and no batteries, and it wasn't worth moving for 5 years. Whatever the court's value is going to be, as an example, $3,000, then it's the $1,000. But not under the theft. But how the court's going to do that, I don't know, because that's the lawsuit.
And Judge, that's the thing. You do have the power to construe these lawsuits liberally. You do have the power to accept written citations. You do have the power to accept oral testimony in your court. And I'm sure you give these instructions to every claimant that comes before your court, because the majority of your claimants are pro se. Exactly. So this court does have the authority to do that. And then on the joint and the joint liability, Judge, that's what it is. It's joint liability. There may be other people that are liable, and we may go after them, but you don't have to proportionally apportion the fault according to that rubric. You can find this person liable, and you can find that amount. And if other people that we found are liable, you can do that too. But we know for sure that Gonzalez Towing is liable to Mr. Rincon for depriving him of his property. May not theft, but for sure they were negligent in their business practices, Judge. Thank you.
I respectfully disagree with the court does have to do proportion, because if this were a jury, they would have the 3 names there. And the first thing that they would do with the jury instruction would put percentages. They don't have to do 33, but I'm just making it as an example. They can do 100 to Gonzalez if they wanted to, but they would have to order the percentages, and then whatever amount you value, then use those percentages. So I just want to clear that up because that's the whole idea behind that rule that they agree to. But other than that, I just want to do that. Now, keep in mind that those other two parties could have been brought in this whole time, and they didn't. It was there in the invoice that my client gave to Mr. One from right after the issue of marijuana. And then there's the investigation. What if tomorrow, as an example, what if tomorrow they find the truck and there's already a judgment and it's already should be? So those are the difficulties that Your Honor had.
So nobody knows who Mario Camarena is.
No, Judge.
Nobody. The police department, Mr. Rincon, Mr. Gonzalez, counsel, nobody knows.
At this point, no, but like my client has always cooperated. My client would continue to cooperate, but I think at this point, I don't know if there's anything else afterwards, other than if there's any lawsuits that you need us for, that kind of thing. But as far as identifying information, which I'm guessing is what the court is asking, no, Your Honor, I don't want to see the court. But it just goes back to, if your bailiff tells me to move this chair and I move it from point A to point B and somebody steals it, yes, I moved it, but, because I didn't know he was the bailiff. I didn't know he was not the bailiff. Just, so that's why it's proportionate responsibility. That's why it's got to be broken up. Assuming the court is going to not, continue with that and change it. And then assuming that.
All right. We'll send you the judgment by Friday. All right, Mr. Shu?
Thank you so much for your time, Your Honor.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Thank you, Mr. Rincon. Thank you, counsel. And have a good day.
Have a good day.